During the inaugural talk, he said he was terrified to look on the left-hand side and the front. I'm terrified on all the sides. So anyway, let me try. So it's very difficult to summarize the very eventful 2 days, but I'm giving it a try. So the goal of the Biocrest 2017 was to bring together the best of minds. This was the original idea, the best of minds in the arena of bacterial pathogenesis, and thereby affect a kind of a synthesis of ideas that will define the future direction as mentioned by Bipin sir, the research theme in the School of Biotechnology. And again, the underlying nobler objective is to prime the young minds, the students, to the consequences of the burgeoning crisis of antibiotic resistance and the need for disruptive innovation. That is what is the objective. That is how we started with. To give you a kind of a summary of the different events that has happened during the past 2 days. In fact, the first day was the inaugural session, and we had a warm welcome being given to our guests. Then we've seen that the prayer composed specially for the particular event kind of wafted across and lingered in our mind, beautifully rendered. Then, of course, with the glimmers of the Nilavilakku, kind of reminded us about the hope of the conference itself, because we are actually discussing a grim topic probably in the past 2 days. Then one more important striking thing that I've seen is, I always believed that the spirituality and science are popularly considered to be kind of non-overlapping magisteria, people call it. But the presence of Swamini Amma, somehow I felt a kind of a fulcrum that finally balances the rational and the kind of spiritual domains. So she went on to say probably a striking one-liner, which actually sums up that particular sense. She said that a kind of bridge of love needs to be forged between science and spirituality, or immaterial and material. Then talking about the welcome address of Dr. Bipin sir, Dean Amrita School of Biotechnology, probably set the right tone to the conference. We knew that the address was replete with hard facts. He went on to describe a case of a hapless individual succumbing to the MDR infection. And the mention of NDM, probably that is what hammered home the need for acknowledgement of an impending crisis of antibiotic resistance. Then he went on to say, crisis of resistance is on the way. So probably he was kind of using a euphemism for the crisis. Probably nightmare is the right word. So even though the situation was defined there, a warm welcome to the guest and the colorful bouquets probably was a solace in that event. Then talking of the keynote address that followed, a beautiful address indeed, Dr. Victor Nizet, our chief guest, he started immediately endorsing the view of Swamini Amma. He agreed with her kind of strategies to find solution in the way the nature finds solutions, probably in the nature's way. So it's very interesting to understand from his particular talk what inspired the large body of work that followed, probably from a very simple question that he started initially. He said, why an otherwise healthy child develops disease? That's a beautiful, probably a simple beginning to a very, very, very profound kind of work. So probably he was asking what are the predisposing factors that causes the disease. Then he went on to say, or went on to define the host-pathogen interaction as a kind of a fascinating arms race. And he also went on to say beautifully that, which I like the most, because whenever we talk about evolution, we ask about evidences. Probably this is the case where he said, the evolution is being unfolded, played right in front of us. So the emphasis and the talk itself was punctuated with the emphasis for disruptive, innovative strategies to combat the danger. So for that, he said, very summed up, there are different strategies involving repurposing of the drugs, modulation of innate immunity, probably the empowering the host as such to combat the disease. Then he talked about synergy between the pharmaceuticals and the endogenous antibiotics. To capture the essence of his talk, both the talks I'm talking about, today's and yesterday's, the essence of his talk, let me borrow his own words. So he said, let's look at the accelerator rather than getting preoccupied with the brakes. So for years together, we have been doing that, to put brakes to the menace of bacterial infection. But what is required is to accelerate or empower the immune response of the host. So he also urged the need to a perspective change from a conventional paradigm. I shouldn't forget it. The analogy on Houdini and the stiff arm, probably the stiff arm we will never be able to relate. We don't have rugby here. So otherwise, the stiff arm and the canary analogies beautifully said. I found a very, very nice teacher in him. Then after that, we had Dr. Anirban Banerjee's talk. So a presentation on the pneumolysine, the virulence factor of Streptococcus pneumoniae. Very lucid and very inspiring speech indeed. The talk emphasized on probably the unbreachable citadel of human response. So if the macrophages misses, probably a kind of a different lines of defense. So if the macrophages misses, you have the autophagy coming into role to prevent it. So you need to consider host to be very empowered and a kind of a citadel. So the infection is not a rule, but an exception. So the study also promises another possibilities in his own word that was beautiful. In response to Dr. Nayer's question, he was responding that, so we need to learn from the bugs how to cross the blood-brain barrier. So probably it is targeted to a question whether a strategy can be adopted to make the drugs cross the blood-brain barrier. Then came the star attraction of the day, the panel discussion. So I like the Hari's designing of the super drugs versus super bugs. He designed something looking like a superheroes with sharp angular edged fonts and so on. Beautiful it is. So the popular town hall meeting fell into the groove right away with Bipin's comment on looming drug-resistant crisis and its implication. Then came our ever-dynamic Anand Kumar sir, steered the discussion in the right direction. So he went on to say, probably I'm trying to capture from his words, perfect crisis storm, and being a businessman, he also went on to add, therefore, a perfect opportunity. So the lines really captured the essence of the discussion. And then there was, Jeff sir talked about the he also underlined the importance of high throughput screening and instrumentation to study the otherwise kind of intractable dynamics of protein function. Then when Dr. Anirban was speaking, he emphasized on the need for development of diagnostics. Basically stressed on the need for the development of the diagnostics in the long run to combat the menace of antibiotic resistance. Then, without saying, Dr. M.D. Nair infused his own immense expertise into the discussion, broadly and beautifully defining the challenges and opportunities of the crisis. Probably having seen things by himself, the whole scenario unfolding before him, his comments gave the audience a kind of a ringside view on the issue. So the online questions on stewardship, I don't remember the person who posted that question. Shifted gears and addressed the need for compliance at different levels. Then the town hall meeting, to sum it up in a gist, the town hall meeting quintessentially informed the audience of the gravity of the issue and the way forward. So that is what is important. Then the tech talks. The initial feeling that I had was, I was surprised that I was teaching these people who easily could have taught me. So that was the kind of, they speak the language of science. That is the beauty of it. Then today, Dr. K. Satyamurthy, he went on to discuss about the host pathogen interaction in diabetes, giving a slightly shift in perspective, discussing about the etiology of foot ulcers associated with diabetes. The talk is marked by immensity of the study. That is what notable it was. Immensity of the study, the number of samples being employed, the techniques and the workflow involved, and so on. So, and the way in which the data was gleaned from these techniques. But the gem of all was the sharing of the first-hand information. Probably Sanjay sir triggered that particular question. The information on his experience on rational validation of traditional medicine, especially Ayurveda. So that was the gem in the crown. Then it was Dr. Jeff Perry. His early discovery and how things can be hastened through structural biological techniques. In fact, the talk, probably in my mind, probably that could have been conveyed to the audience also, opened up a kind of a plethora of possibilities in understanding the dynamics of protein-ligand interaction. Then a vista of possibilities were opened up with innovation. A point in case that I liked is the binding assay. Then it was Dr. Babatosh Das, beautifully kind of presented his work, very comprehensive, taking us all along through the complex landscape of techniques and kind of safely walking us through. Molecular insights into the antimicrobial resistant traits of multi-drug resistance, enteric pathogens. So I thought that his talk probably completes that puzzle as our theme of the Biocrest embodies. So there was a kind of a slight perspective on the microbiome. Then he also talked about how different people perceive the problem, especially the patients and the scientists and the pharma industries, how they look at the problem and so on. So what I understood is he probably very clearly, very tangibly defined that the problem is very real. And he gave some statistics associated to that. That is what drives in home that this is not a very smoky, a very intangible, very vague event. Instead, it is a very much an event at our doorsteps. So solving the, so to end up, kind of solving the puzzle is the theme of the conference. And we envisaged different perspectives probably to come together. And in fact, I personally feel there was a partial kind of understanding of the whole issue. And we were able to create that bigger picture by bringing different expertise together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ajit Madhavan. Thank you, distinguished panelists. Now we move on to the award session. As a part of Biocrest, we had conducted a few contests, out of which the first was the logo contest, where we had promised an award for anyone who comes up with the appropriate logo. And this logo that you see on the screen was chosen as the best. This was designed by none other than Mr. Ajit Madhavan. I request Dr. Nizay to give away the prize for Mr. Ajit Madhavan. Thank you, Dr. Nizay. I request Dr. Jeff Perry to kindly give away the prizes for the student tech talks. The third prize goes to Shrisha Sridharan, S2 MSc MB. The second prize goes to Natasha Menon, S4 MSc BT. And the first prize goes to Akshaya Balasubramanian, S6 BSc BT. Thank you, sir. May I request Dr. M.D. Nair to give away the prizes for the student interactive session. 3 best questions were chosen, and Amrita, you're one of them. Sangeeta S. Pillai. And Chippy Lal. Thank you, sir. Creatome, Consortium of Creativity, is a student-driven club that acts as a platform to showcase their fabulous array of talent. As a part of Creatome, we had an essay competition as well as a photography contest. May I request Dr. Babatosh Das to give away the awards for them? The essay competition was on the topic Life at its Best, and the third prize goes to Anjali Vasudev, first year BTA batch. The second prize goes to R. Shreyas, first year BT B batch. And the first prize goes to Aparna AV, third year BT. Third year BT. I'm not third year BT. Oh, you know, but you are Aparna. The theme for the photography contest was on Diwali. And the third prize goes to Ruben Jacob Matthew, first year BT B batch. The second prize goes to Vidyalata L, first year BT. And the first prize goes to Alina Satish Kumar, second year MB. Thank you, sir. I now call upon Dr. Bipin Nair, Dean, Amrita School of Biotechnology, to deliver the word of thanks.
Well, word of thanks for an event that we started yesterday morning. And it seems like we've been here for a week. When we started out yesterday, I said, this is an annual event, something that we host every year in the month of January, to look back at the year gone by and see what we have achieved. But more importantly, to look ahead, to set our sights on more ambitious goals so that we can pursue them in a way that would make our Chancellor Amma, our guiding light, proud of our achievements. And I'd been trying to invite our chief guest for this occasion, Professor Victor Nizet, to come here all the way from California. And this was an ongoing process over the past 2 years when I had the opportunity to go to his lab and discuss some science with him. And finally, it was this last July that we managed to have that plan set, that he could come here and spend a few days with us. And what a wonderful experience this has been. In the best possible way that I could describe it, it's probably a 2-day crash course that we could describe it as on microbial pathogenesis and the drug resistance crisis. Because there's no way that we could have gained so much information, so much knowledge, right from the experts who have spent a lifetime looking at some of these detailed aspects of pathogenesis. And so I'm extremely grateful, first of all, to Dr. Victor Nizet for having been here, for having shared his expertise, and for having encouraged us to look ahead. And I hope that this would be the start of more intense collaboration and interaction. I'm already grateful that beginning next week, one of our own students, Nitasha, would start working in his laboratory and towards her MSc final semester project. So thank you, Victor. Dr. Jeff Perry, thanks for taking the time, and I will have to apologize to Anna and Ethan for taking you away from them for these few days, but thank you for having been here. And of course, we will definitely continue to work together. Dr. M.D. Nair, Dr. Bautosh Das, Dr. Satyamurthy, Dr. Anirban Banerjee, all of them having come here and in spite of their extremely busy schedules, agreeing to be with us here and help us put this Biocrest 2017 together to be the wonderful event it has been. As you would understand, an event like this cannot be organized without the involvement, without the participation, without the all-in-all effort, because this is something that we have experienced time and again, that we put together or we plan on an event like this and the whole School of Biotechnology comes together as a family and becomes a well-oiled machine, so that tomorrow if we were to run out of a prospective job, we could all become event managers. So the event management teams that involved or included everything from transportation to accommodation to food to the venue arrangements to the technical programs to the cultural programs and all the other associated events, and I could keep on naming all of them. All of that came together with the effort, including all our students. So I'm thankful to each and every one, teaching, non-teaching, faculty, staff, students, and administrative staff as well. Thanks also to the Carpool, ICTS, the general administration, multimedia, all of their efforts, including a lot of efforts put in by a team that had everything going live. So the problem that I now face is people have been trying to get me to be active on social media, and suddenly everyone's asking me, how come you're so active now? But thanks to, especially to Param and Vidya for having brought us into that sphere of activity. And I feel that all of this requires a standing ovation, especially for our guests who are here. A big round of applause and congratulations to all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Om Amrita.